Hello, PDHP parents and community. It's Carrie Ann Fitzgerald from the Program for the Development of Human Potential. And today we are talking about hashtag parents. We went over a couple of things that were trends, whether it was kind of, understanding the trends from when we were young to how they've moved so fast now in our kids' lives. We have talked about the trends of brain development. We've talked about trends of different types of apps that are out there. And I have seen a couple of, since we've put this out, I've seen a couple of people reach out with different apps that they're hearing about more and more. So I agree. We'll be looking into that. Discord, Pixel Art was mentioned on Facebook, and Among Us has been a game that I've heard a lot of the kids playing, as well as Animal Crossing. So, here's some of the downsides. We talked a little bit about those anonymous apps that are out there. And we also know, unlike our kids, maybe that nothing is private or temporary enough when it comes to the internet. And unfortunately, our kids still need a lot of guidance in understanding that. We can't just say it once or twice. We have to kind of continually say it and maybe react with actions too. We are finding that the average teen amasses about 150 followers on their social media. The average teen averages about 150 followers on social media. It kind of leads me to always say, I joke around when we're at the workshops, I don't think I had 150 people at my wedding, as an adult. So let's just consider who are those 150 people? Are they really good friends? Are they friends of friends of friends, acquaintances, just people who ask you to follow back? We also see the trend of fake profiles. A couple of years ago, they coined the term Finstagram instead of Instagram. And two things were going on with that, which was kind of interesting. In one case, we would talk a lot about kids who were using these Finstagram or these fake profiles on social media to catfish or to bully other kids and other users. But we also saw some kids kind of taking a break from what was their mainstream page of those 150 followers and really breaking it down to having this small account that was a little more private in nature and maybe having about 10 of their closest friends, whoever their closest friends were following on them. And some of them said, I just kind of wanted a place where I could be my real self. If I took a picture, it wasn't going to be judged. If, I didn't have my makeup on for the girls, I wasn't going to be judged. I could say how I feel and it would be respected. So that kind of was an interesting reaction to see. But we do know that there's always the ability to find out who's creating what addresses, what profiles, because there's a way to search these IP addresses. Perhaps you and I are not going to be able to do that, but there's always someone who's really, really great at tech and is able to do this kind of work. People, as a matter of fact, get paid a lot of good money for that. So the other thing is downtime. When it comes to this virtual world, this digital world, it is a 24/7 prospect. A lot of us grew up with, a time for play, a time for schoolwork, a time for chores, a time for sitting with family, a time for extracurricular. And any kind of socializing may have been done at a certain point. You maybe played down the block and came home when the street lights went on. Any kind of socializing after that would really come through the adults in your life. So maybe the family, the main phone would ring and your aunt would pick it up. And it would have to go through these channels. So there were these boundaries that went on. But, it's a little different now. The kids are really on their devices available to others. Okay. We also know that it's a 24/7 refrain where they're constantly checking. That's another trend that's going on. The kids are constantly checking phones. Maybe they're on consecutively for hours at a time. And it leads us to wonder, well, how are they managing their time? Are they getting some respite? Are they getting some time away from these devices and this constant social barrage? Are they getting time to really lean into their homework, their study, getting chores done? They need to learn about chores and have that accountability. After school activities. Are they able to find downtime in another mode than the digital device? Because that's important too, to have this activity. Okay. Are they able to communicate face to face, or is that a thing of the past? Is time unbalanced? Are they becoming distracted? Are we, as the adults in their life, their parents, their caregivers, their family members, are we becoming distracted as well? There's an unhealthy attachment to devices. We see that, there's a lot of aggression that comes out of device use, technology use. We see addictive behaviors. There's developing psychology here. We talked about brain development. We see self-esteem issues. This is the time and the age where kids are forming their self-esteem, and a lot of them are basing it on the number of likes and friends and followers that they have. And sometimes this screen creates a disconnect. Okay. We are on a brink of losing an innate quality called empathy. And we hear a lot about empathy lately. I can tell you as an educator, I would learn about all these different ways that we process. And one of the ways that was so amazing to me was empathy. Because not only could maybe a child read a story in social studies or try to solve a very difficult problem in math and apply the skill of empathy, concerning themselves about others, stepping in someone else's shoes. But it helped them to learn, and it helped them in a way that allows for a wonderful character. So you kind of get that other BOGO going on there that I always talk about, buy one, get one. So it is such an important aspect of human relationships and learning and brain development that I fear that we lose it a little bit on these devices, because I could say anything and you don't know my tone. You don't know exactly if I'm joking or if I'm serious. And sometimes it doesn't hit correctly. When we were kids, I might sit with you at the playground and play after school, and I might have said something that wasn't nice. I hate your earrings, they're horrible. I don't know, whatever it was. But I could tell that there was a change, that my words hit something in you. And I could see that there was a change in the atmosphere between us, the energy between us. I could see it pass on your face. I could see it in your eyes. And I would feel horrible. Or maybe I wouldn't. But at some point, in the quietude of the respite of my home later on, it may have come up again. And even if I never said I'm sorry, I realized that my words hit a wrong way. Unfortunately, on these devices, we do not get that atmosphere, that energy between us, that exchange, to see those passages of maybe a reaction to the words that are put out that are not always very nice. So I concern myself with the loss of empathy for this generation. And as parents, it's something that we really need to work on. Another thing that is troubling when it comes to devices, accidents of distracted walking. Yeah, that's a thing. We're going to see all these public service announcements soon. They're on the rise. The National Safety Council estimates 61 plus children are hit by cars daily. Several years ago, over 1,000 emergency room visits involving children, and involving technology were reported. An agency called I Keep Safe reports that over 44% of children are showing signs of sleep deprivation related to their overuse of tech. There are phones in the beds with these kids sometimes. I know that always happened with my junior high. They would sleep with the phones in their bed, say that they needed the alarm clock to wake them up. Listen, guys, Christmas is coming. $2.99 Rite Aid, a little battery-operated plastic alarm clock is perfectly fine. Okay, because that phone in the bed also could be a fire hazard, and I just, having that access near you so much, there is not a healthy thing. Also, during the night, nasty grams are sent. Is the best way to put it. From 9 o'clock at night to 7 o'clock in the morning, nothing really nice is going on or interesting is going on enough on these devices. And we also have a generation of kids who are going to be grappling with driving while texting. Okay. We'll look a little bit more at some of these things as we continue through next week. On Monday, we'll talk a little bit about some of the things that are being posted, some of the things our kids are posting, and explore that a little bit more. But for this weekend, maybe it is time to just kind of check in and maybe even just set some boundaries with the use of technology. I know it's hard these days because we're using it to connect in so many ways. And if you're like me watching the news going, what's next, right? I know that we're going to rely on these going into the next few months, these devices. But think of how we're using it. Are we using it to connect? Are we using it to, create unwittingly some space between us in our homes? Is it time maybe to create boundaries of time? Okay, from this time to this time, you're permitted to use this tool, but you may not bring them into the bedrooms, okay? You may not bring them into the bathroom. They have to be in the living room. Is it something that you can say, on this particular day, we're going to be device free at the meals, device free. We're going to sit down together. We're going to watch a movie together. We're going to discuss it. We're going to read together. We're going to make something together, cook in the kitchen, whatever it is. Time together to fill those gaps that are going on that we just so quickly and almost absent-mindedly grab our tech devices to fill. So consider it. I hope you stay safe and well. And I will talk to you again on Monday for #parents. I have a bunch of these workshops coming up for particular schools, so that's really exciting as well. And I hope you have a great weekend. Happy Friday.